Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap video for WWE Elimination Chamber 2020, the final pay-per-view before WrestleMania 36, which is 1 month from now in Tampa, Florida. Let's go ahead and talk about the matches. Shout out to everyone watching live and participating in the chat room. And also a shout out to everybody watching this video on demand as well. We had our first, well, actually our only kickoff match, which was not announced until the day of the show, which I figured was going to happen. We had the Viking Raiders versus Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. And yes, for those of you that have forgotten, Hawkins and Ryder, former Raw Tag Team Champions. I know. Hard to believe. Not much to say about this match. It was pretty much just a showcase for the Viking Raiders, although Raiders and Hawkins did get a little bit of offense. Not much. Although it was a miscommunication or an inadvertent move that led to their downfall when Zack Ryder gave his own partner, Curt Hawkins, the Rough Rider. He did not mean to, though. And then the Raiders hit the Viking Experience to pick up the victory. Big G with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Big G. He says, here's to the co-champions, Big G, and the boss man, Aaron Rift. Hey, that's me. We won the predictions tonight for Elimination Chamber. Not sure where we stand in the overall predictions for the entire year so far, but Kayfabe Candy asks, I'm coming for that top spot, so you better watch out, pal. Let's go ahead and talk about the main card. The first match was a match that was added, I believe, on SmackDown. Again, last minute, but at least it was on the go-home show. Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak. And they've actually spent a couple of weeks building up a little feud between Bryan and Gulak. So this was a solid open to the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Something different here. It was pretty much a straight-up wrestling match. These guys trading moves on the mat. And for periods, Gulak was getting the better of Daniel Bryan to the point where Bryan had to take a break on the outside of the ring to regroup. Gulak was bringing it. Gulak was throwing Bryan around with some suplexes, and there was this one release German suplex where Bryan pretty much landed on his head and neck, and it looked brutal. Knowing Bryan's medical history, it was pure cringe to see him take that kind of bump, knowing what his body has been through over the years. But this was a nice change of pace, you know, just a solid mat wrestling match. And Gulak got to shine here and took it to Daniel Bryan. Bryan countered a submission attempt and managed to make a comeback. He got the yes lock on, and Gulak did not tap out. He passed out from the pain. And after the match, Gulak got to his feet, and Daniel Bryan gave him some props. He did the yes chant to give Gulak that moment that, hey, you put up a pretty damn good fight. So yeah, I liked this. This match was effective in elevating Gulak. Even in defeat, he looked good. He took it to the veteran Daniel Bryan and gave him a run for his money. And afterwards, Bryan gave him some respect. Good way to kick off this pay-per-view, and we'll see if Gulak can gain some momentum from this. You know, I would like to believe this could be the start of bigger things for him, but we all know how these scenarios tend to go. Gulak could end up being just like Cedric Alexander, gets a push for a couple of months and then he's forgotten about again. That's why I'm a little hesitant about getting on the Gulak train. But this was really well done. This was very, very good and a nice start to the pay-per-view and something different, you know? I was expecting an Elimination Chamber match to start off the pay-per-view, and I thought that this was a good way to start it off. Just do a nice, solid wrestling match, no gimmicks, just let the guys go in there and wrestle and get the crowd heated up. Although, they only got so heated up for this show as a whole. I was a little disappointed. I guess I'll say this now. I was a bit let down by the Philadelphia crowd. You know, Philadelphia is considered to be one of the best wrestling towns and the home of ECW for many years. And I felt like they just did not really bring the energy for this show. There were times where they would chant, "This is awesome," and they got into it, but they were not really very loud for much of this pay-per-view. And honestly, I felt it hurt the show a little bit. Next up, we had Andrade versus Humberto Carrillo for the United States Championship. Technically good match. The only problem with it for me personally was that we've seen it before. We've seen it several times. And I feel like Humberto, as good as he is, just not connecting with the audience, just doesn't have that charisma and showmanship. He's got the technical skills, but doesn't have the personality to go along with it. So I liked it on a technical level. Good stuff from these guys as usual. Andrade dominated. Humberto made his comeback. Zelina Vega was getting involved. You know, the usual stuff from these guys. She exposed the padding on the floor. Andrade attempted the hammerlock DDT, but Humberto countered it. Got him back in the ring. And then I believe they did the same finish that we've already seen before, where they go back and forth with the near falls. One pin attempt, other guy does a pin attempt, goes back and forth until finally Andrade used the tights, and that was enough to score the victory over Humberto, who continues to come up short, yet he keeps getting the opportunity. So what's the breaking point? Does Humberto finally get a win? Is it going to be like the 1-2-3 kid where he pulls off the shocker? Not sure where things are going for Humberto, but I just feel like the character is not really making a connection despite having the skills to perform at a high level. And as Frank points out, they'll probably have a rematch on Raw tomorrow. Would not shock me. We had the SmackDown Tag Team titles, the first of 2 Elimination Chambers. Miz and John Morrison against The New Day, The Usos, Heavy Machinery, Lucha House Party, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. And one of the big stories of this match was Otis wanting to get his hands on Dolph Ziggler, but he had to wait a bit for this. We started the match with New Day and the Usos. Of course, they have the history together. That was brought up. They fought for a while back and forth, and then once Lucha House Party came in, Usos and New Day decided to back off on each other and try and go after Lucha House Party. The Lucha guys, they managed to get some offense on both teams. Did some of their good Lucha stuff off the top of the chamber pods. And then we had Miz and Morrison come out. Grand Metalik and Morrison ended up on top of the pod. And Metalik did a Hurricane Rana to Morrison off the pod. Got a near fall. And at this point, crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." Heavy Machinery came in next. They cleaned house. They took out everybody. But while this was going on, Lince Dorado decided to not only climb up the pod, but he climbed up to the ceiling of the cage. He was climbing, and he was, like with monkey bars, he was He was working his way to the center of the ring from the top of the chamber, and then he did a shooting star press from the top all the way down onto pretty much everybody in the ring. The spot looked spectacular. However, I felt it did not look realistic. They took way too long to set this up. It looked very choreographed. First of all, they gave it away when you see Lindsay on the top. I think if they were going to do this, at least for the people at home, not show Lindsay on the top, so when it did happen, it would come across as a shock to the viewing audience at home. But then you knew it was coming anyways because Morrison, Miz, and everybody else starts looking up. And they're just standing there looking up for a good 3-4 seconds. And if this was a real fight, I'd be like, get out of the way, just move. Yet they just stand there and wait for him to fall so they can catch him. Ridiculous, but, nice athletic feat by Lindsay Dorado. So if that's your cup of tea, then you will love this match. If you love the feats of athleticism, if you love the gymnastics, then this was a great spot. If you want to be able to suspend disbelief a little bit, probably not your favorite moment. Just depends on what you like. Walter Cruz with a $2 super chat says, lots of botches during the first chamber. Thank you for that, Walter. And yeah, it wasn't great in the beginning, but I do think this match picked up and turned out to be a very entertaining chamber match overall. Mo Camera with a $2.79 super chat. Thank you for that, Mo. You guys know Mo's always got an opinion on things. He says, Otis looks like a pregnant dwarf. Can't take him seriously. Ouch, why are you being so mean to Otis? I like Otis. Otis doesn't deserve that kind of negativity. He's a big, lovable guy. And quite frankly, the guy can probably put in more gym time than all of us combined. I mean, just don't let his look fool you. The guy is putting in the hours in the gym. He's thick. He's got that strength. So, we can make fun of him for not having six-pack abs, but the guy is an athlete, and he puts in the gym time. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, at least the Miz wasn't the one that catch him Lince. I wasn't even sure. I thought the Miz was there, one of the guys catching him. It was pretty much everybody in the ring at the time, from what I recall. So anyways, right after Lindsay did his big spot, Lucha House Party got pinned, of course. First team eliminated. Metalik got pinned. And Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler were the last ones to enter the match. Of course, because they won the gauntlet. Ziggler was trying to get away from Otis, but it did not work. We had Tucker climb up to the top of the pod to get Ziggler, threw him down into Otis's arms. Then Tucker went and did a dive onto the New Day and Usos. Otis beat down Ziggler for a bit, but then he went for this running charge. Ziggler sidestepped him, threw him into the pod, and not only did Otis crashed into the pod, but he broke the pod. He went right through can't even talk. Went right through the pod and fell all the way down to the floor, basically taking him out of the match. Tucker got pinned by Roode and Dolph Ziggler, and as poor Otis and Tucker walked away, Ziggler was laughing, having a good time. But that was their downfall. They got attacked by the New Day and the Usos. Usos did dueling frog splashes from the pods and did simultaneous pins on both Roode and Dolph Ziggler to eliminate them. Crowd was happy to see them go. They did the na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye song. Psycho Jet Black. Oh, I already did his, so my bad. Walter Cruz with a $2 super chat says, Otis going through the pod was a cool spot. Yeah, I believe this is the first time that somebody has gone through the pod all the way to the floor like that. Although, when you see what that pod glass is made of, you're like, well, it's a surprise more people haven't gone through it because it seems like it's so flimsy and weak. But yeah, it was a cool spot. Everybody oohed and awed at it. Colin Mack with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Colin. He says, use this and buy yourself a honey bun. Will do, Colin Mack, and thank you for the super chat. So back to the match. Usos and New Day teased like they were going to go at it again, but instead went after Miz and John Morrison. And for some reason, Usos and New Day, instead of just pinning Miz and Morrison so they would be guaranteed new champions, they went back to fighting each other. I guess they have honor. That's what it's about. They have honor and integrity. But I could see Jesse Ventura or Bobby Heenan just being like, these guys are idiots. They should just eliminate the champions so they can win the titles. Usos and New Day went back and forth. Kofi went for a crossbody block from the top of the pod. He missed, and then Miz and Morrison both covered Kofi, and the New Day was eliminated from the match. So no Kofi miracle this year. We had Usos and Miz and Morrison as the final two teams. They went back and forth. Usos hit their dueling splashes again, but Miz and Morrison came back. Miz had a skull-crushing finale, which Jimmy did kick out of. However, Miz and Morrison managed to work together, and with a little bit of leverage from the ropes, they worked together to score the pinfall victory, thus retaining their SmackDown Tag Team titles. Good match here. Predictable, I think, with Miz and Morrison retaining, but overall, very good match. It did start off a little sloppy, but it did pick up at the end, and I did enjoy it pretty much for the entire duration. Next up, we had AJ Styles and Aleister Black in a no DQ match. Anderson and Gallows were there at ringside. Unfortunately for this match, I think a lot of us were just sitting here waiting for The Undertaker. They really didn't do a whole lot for a no DQ match. I mean, they had the kendo stick and the steel chair, the usual stuff, but I don't know. I just felt like it was missing something. Maybe a little bit more unpredictability, maybe a better storyline build-up, maybe a better crowd, maybe a combination of all that, but I just wasn't that invested in this, which is a shame considering the people involved. Of course, we did have a table spot with Black doing the Meteora, the running knees, the double knees through the table. And then he was on the verge of winning. Of course, Anderson and Gallows got involved. And here's another thing. If you're Anderson and Gallows, why even play by the rules to begin with? If it's a no DQ match, why not just interfere right from the get-go so you guys can win the match and go home and call it a night? Why were they just standing out there for a long time and then finally they decide to interfere? I guess maybe, again, honor and integrity. Maybe AJ wanted to try and do it on his own, but that's not very heelish. I think if you're a heel, you just want to win right away and call it a night and go home. Get your paycheck. See, that's just weird to me that they have a no DQ match and Anderson and Gallows are just standing there for 10 minutes and then finally they decide, oh, AJ's in trouble. We better come in and try and finish this. Then we had a 3-on-1 attack. It looked like Black was going to lose again, but then the gong went off, lights went out, Undertaker appeared in the ring, gave AJ Styles a choke slam, and Aleister Black took advantage of this. He should have just gone for the pin because we all know one choke slam beats AJ Styles, right? Aleister Black did hit his own Black Mass to pin AJ Styles so he could say, hey, I kind of did it on my own. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, why does anyone think that AJ will pin The Undertaker? I think people are thinking that maybe Undertaker will make AJ look good and do the honors, as they say, and put over AJ. You know, old guy puts over the young guy. I think that's the thought process, but hell, would not shock me if Undertaker beats AJ real quick and maybe AJ hits a Styles Clash, Undertaker kicks out, and then a choke slam, and it's all over. Honestly, I think I would prefer if they did a tag match or a 2-on-3 match. AJ and the OC against Undertaker and Aleister Black, and let Aleister get the rub off of Undertaker, and Undertaker and Black can win. Carl Anderson could take the pinfall. I think a tag match would be better. I'd rather see a tag match than AJ and Undertaker one-on-one at this point. Like, just seeing Undertaker in there, he could barely do anything. He looks like he could barely move. It feels like the chokeslam is the only thing he can do at this point. Tic Tat Tat says maybe add Kane into the match. You could do that. 6-man match. I mean, as it is, I don't think anybody believes AJ and the OC would beat Undertaker and Aleister Black. So if you add Kane to it, the chances of AJ and the OC winning drastic go down. Alexander says Black will probably be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which, yeah, that sounds about right. Next up, we had the Intercontinental Championship. Actually, I stand corrected. We had the Raw Tag Team title match. There were a lot of matches on this show, even though it felt like a short card when we did the predictions. They added 2 more matches. The Elimination Chamber matches, at least the first one, was pretty long. I just don't think this pay-per-view needed to be almost 4 hours. I think they could have done a 3-hour show. Ked Terminated by Google with a $5 super chat says, sorry, Rift, I don't want to see Taker in a tag match with Aleister Black. Remember WrestleMania 19 when Nathan Jones was supposed to team with Mark? Well, come on now. I don't think Aleister Black should be compared to Nathan Jones. I think Aleister Black has far surpassed Jones as far as getting the rub off of The Undertaker goes. And back then, Undertaker could still go. Big difference between then and now. Thank you, though, for the super chat, Ken. I do appreciate it. So we had the Raw Tag Team title match. Street Profits versus Seth Rollins and don't call him Buddy Murphy. He's just Murphy. AOPP came out there with Rollins and Murphy. Profits were doing pretty well until AOP got involved. Then we had the Viking Raiders come out to even the odds. They brawled to... Excuse me. Got to take a second here to recoup. The 2 teams brawled to the back. AOP taken out of the equation. Back in the ring. Went back and forth here. Until finally, Kevin Owens came down. Pretty much exactly what happened on Raw, except this time Owens brought some popcorn with him. He jumped the barricade, so I guess this wasn't one of those instances where he bought a ticket. He just got some popcorn. Came over the barricade. Owens threw popcorn in Rollins' face. Dawkins took out Rollins, and then the Profits finished off Murphy. Did the big splash. Still your tag team champions, the Street Profits. I mean, match really wasn't necessary, and you had the same exact thing with Kevin Owens interfering to be the factor. I mean, you really didn't even need Owens. Like, just have Murphy take the fall and be done with it. And after the match, Kevin Owens gave Rollins a stunner and then took the rest of his popcorn, well, most of his popcorn, and dumped it onto Buddy Murphy. Whoops, I said Buddy. My bad, Murphy. I'm sorry. You're not my buddy guy. The This Guy Experience with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, for the love of God, make this Taker's last match at WrestleMania. I agree. This should 100% be Undertaker's last match at WrestleMania. However, let him come back for one more match. Let him do his send-off at Survivor Series. November 22nd, 30-year anniversary of his first match at the 1990 Survivor Series. I think that would be a great send-off for Taker to wrestle his final match at Survivor Series. And that's it. Call it a career at that point. And Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, why Super Showdown and Elimination Chamber so close together? I think it just had to do with Saudi Arabia, because last year the Saudi Arabia pay-per-views were at different times. Well, at least the spring one was. The spring one was what? April, May? Actually, no. I think it was June. Yeah, it was June. Super Showdown was June, and then the two Crown Jewels were around the same time. Greatest Royal Rumble, I believe, was April or May. I'm not sure exactly, but it was spring. I know that much. And for whatever reason, this time, Saudi Arabia wanted a show in February, so that's what we got, folks. Remember, they're paying the bills, so whatever Saudi Arabia wants, Saudi Arabia gets. Matt Phillips Reviews with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Matt. Very much appreciated. He says, the main event is what the 2003 SummerSlam Elimination Chamber match should have been. Have a good night, Mr. Rift. You as well, my friend. And I agree with you 100% on that. We'll talk about that. I'll address that in a few minutes here. Ken terminated by Google. By the way, Ken, why were you terminated by Google? I still want to know. Sucka's gots to know. I still don't know to this day. He says, even though tonight wasn't your night, Rift, at least your sore throat is defeated. Aaron Rift is more over than his sore throat and EC3 combined. Actually, I'm not 100%, believe it or not. You guys are probably thinking I'm going to die from coronavirus or something, but I have these lingering sore throats. If this was the first time it ever happened, I'd be like, maybe I should see a doctor, but it's been this way all my life. I get a sore throat, and it seems to linger for a while, especially since I've started doing the live streams, which just makes it worse. But I appreciate that, Ken. And tonight was my night as far as predictions go. I got all but one match, which we will talk about right now. We had the Intercontinental Championship match, the only match I got wrong with the predictions. Braun Strowman versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus Azzaro versus Sami Zayn for the IC title. Before the match, Sami Zayn cut a promo, talked about how Strowman has not been able to get a hand on him, and it's all going to change in this match. Sami Zayn insisted to Nakamura and Cesaro that he gets the first crack at Strowman. Zayn did start the match. However, he immediately tagged out to Cesaro. The idea was that Zayn was trying to play mind games with Strowman. Cesaro and Nakamura managed to get some heat on Strowman, and they would tag in Zayn. Zayn would come in, hit one or two moves, and then tag back out again. Strowman would eventually make a comeback. He'd do the bum rush onto Cesaro and Nakamura. However, Zayn would be able to run away. He'd run under the ring, and the heels would manage to take advantage of the situation again. They did that spot from SmackDown where Strowman went through the table. They did the double suplex into the haluva kick, and Sami Zayn made the cover. 1, 2, 3. Sami Zayn, everybody, is your new Intercontinental Champion. Literally his first televised match of 2020, and he's only had like a handful of matches since the Bobby Lashley sisters angle 2 years ago. And he's your new IC champion. His first title win on the main roster, believe it or not, was this match. Pretty random. I mean, I'm happy for Sami. I'm happy he's wrestling again. I just wish WWE made it clear that whoever pinned Strowman was getting the title. I figured if Sami pinned Strowman, Nakamura was getting the title back. Didn't matter who pinned Strowman, Nakamura was getting the title. That was my thought process, but WWE never really made it clear, so I reluctantly went with Strowman in my predictions. I was definitely on the fence. If I had known for sure that if Sami Zayn was making the pin, he was winning the title, I might have gone with the heels to win this one. But hey, I still got the most predictions along with Big G, so I'll take it. Josh Mansfield with the $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Josh. He says, all hail King Rift and Queen Caitlyn. Chamber gets a B+. Thank you for that again, Josh. I appreciate it. And let me see here what we got. The Cleaver, Colin Andrew with a $2 super chat. He says the pay-per-view was lame, but I'm always here to support. Sorry you didn't like it, Colin, but thank you very much again for your support, being part of Team No DQ. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Psycho. He says, happy for Sami, but why is Strowman a mid-card act? Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, the IC title was just going to keep him in the mid-card, so at least he can move on to something else. Bottom line is, Roman's got to be in the main event right now, and Strowman's a babyface, and WWE wants to keep them apart because they've already feuded, so Strowman's got to be in the mid-card, I guess. He'll probably be in the Andrade Battle Royal. Maybe he'll win it. Don't know. Don't care. Bobo Beware with the $2 super chat says, glad my boy Sami won a title. As am I. I just wish it was built up better and not so random. But thank you, Bobo Beware. I like that username also. All right, now we move on to the women's chamber match. We had Natalya versus Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler versus Asuka versus Ruby Riot versus Sarah Logan, with the winner facing Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. 80% of you going into this match thought Shayna was going to win. Why even do the match? Shayna already beat Becky at Survivor Series, right? She was arguably the most dominant NXT Women's Champion in history. So why did she have to earn the title match? Didn't really make sense, but it is what it is. Natalya and Ruby Riot started the match. Becky, of course, was watching backstage to see who would come out on top. Logan was next in the match. Couple spots here with them using the pod. Riot got pulled off the pod, and then Logan did a crossbody to both Sarah Logan and Natalya. Natalya took some punishment in this match. She took quite the beating. Natalya got the double knees, the Meteora from Sarah Logan, and crashed into the pod. Liv Morgan was just standing out there. And then Shayna Baszler was your next entrant. She came in and just started dominating. She eliminated Sarah Logan right away with her clutch submission, and then she submitted Ruby Riot. Then Liv Morgan came in. She got beat up by Baszler. She got choked out and basically passed out from the submission while Baszler was looking over at Asuka and mocking her, taunting her. Let's see here. Mo Camera with a $2.79 super chat says, do you think Sean View deserves the Hall of Fame? Hall of Fame of what is the question. And now we know. Mo Camera troll confirmed, bringing up Sean's view during this live stream. Chris Benoit with a $10 super chat. KrisBenwa. The trolls are in full force tonight, but thank you for the $10 super chat. I appreciate it. He says, I prayed Asuka would win and shave my head bald if she didn't win. I am now bald. Sorry to hear that, Chris, although maybe you look better bald. I don't know. I don't know. So it was down to Asuka and Shayna Baszler. Asuka got a little bit of offense. She got Baszler down. She got the Asuka lock on. Baszler was able to break out of it, and then Baszler put on her clutch submission, and Asuka tried to fight it off for a little bit, but then passed out. Shayna Baszler, your winner in dominant fashion, eliminating all 5 participants, all 5 opponents in this Elimination Chamber match. And as mentioned earlier, this is what should have happened in 2003 with Goldberg. Goldberg came in, eliminated pretty much everyone, but then Triple H, one sledgehammer shot, and Goldberg loses. While this match was utterly predictable, it was obviously the right thing to do for Shayna. I just think WWE should have added more to this. Like maybe an NXT participant besides Baszler, if she's still NXT, who knows. Maybe add Nia Jax returning or something to make it a little bit more unpredictable if you were going to do this match. It was just very, very expected. To the point where I thought we were going to get some kind of swerve, but we did not. The Game is on 100 with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says, I was right on Baszler looking dominant by eliminating all the women. Big G probably enjoyed it. Becky Lynch, beware of the beast Shayna Baszler. Oh, I'm sure Big G enjoyed it. Enjoyed it more than you would probably want to know the details of. Let's just say that. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure Big G isn't that obsessed with Shayna Baszler. So overall, Elimination Chamber. The wrestling was good on the show. It was solid from start to finish. Mo Camera says I missed his super chat. I'm trying to see if I missed one. I know I read off the Sean's View one. Which one was I missing, Mo Camera? Unless you're trolling me again, which he very well could be doing. The This Guy Experience with a $5 super chat says, please no DQ Galaxy. Wish my mom a recovery from the flu and pneumonia. And says, also, why don't the referee do the arm lift 2 count to see if the person passed out? Good question, This Guy Experience. I guess the referee just uses his or her own discretion. If somebody looks to be passed out, then they call for the bell. But yeah, that's a good point. Back in the day, referee would put up the arm 3 times. And I like that because it adds a little bit more drama to it if it looks like they're going to pass out. So that's a very solid question there. And best wishes to your mom, of course. Hopefully she recovers soon. Let's do the letter grade now for the show. I thought it was good, predictable, but the quality of the wrestling and the performances were good. Darren Frazier with a $5 super chat says, waste of a chamber match, no build, and only 2 credible contenders for the belt. They should have just done one of matches. Let me try to read this again. Should have just did a one-on-one match or a submission match. I think that Shayna versus Asuka would have been probably better than doing an Elimination Chamber. But then again, none of the other women really have any credibility. So it's like, whatever. She destroyed those 5 other women and moves on. Show was fine. I give it a C+. I mean, I think it was skippable, but it was good. It wasn't a bad show. I think the lack of crowd heat hurt it a little bit, and just the fact that there were really no swerves or just something unexpected. But it was a solid show. I mean, it's worth watching if you got time. Let's see here what you guys thought of this show. Mo Camera with a $2.79 super chat donation says, hey, Baron, have you seen 3 from Hell? Ha ha ha, good one. Good one, Mo. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, what's going on with Bayley at WrestleMania? Probably fighting in a multi-woman match. I mean, that's the rumor right now, and doesn't look like they're doing Sasha versus Bayley. They really haven't teased it at all. And they got to get as many women on the WrestleMania card as possible. You know how this stuff works. So I'm guessing it'll be Bayley versus Lacey versus Carmella versus Naomi versus somebody from the back. Maybe an NXT woman. Who knows? Mike Dark Fantasy with a $2 super chat, or Mr. Dark Fantasy, excuse me, says, during the pay-per-view era, did you pay for all of them? No. There were quite a few pay-per-views that I did not watch live back in the day, and it wasn't until years later that I would go back and watch them. TJS with a $2 super chat says, hey, Baron, have you seen 3 from Hell? Wait a minute. That's the same exact super chat as Mo Camera. Is Mo Camera TJS? Has the mystery been solved as to who Mo Camera is? One of TJS's burner accounts. Have we had TJS's alter ego exposed? Is Mo Camera the Riff Dancin for TJS? That's the question. All right, let's see the super chats here. Or not the super chats. We've done the super chats. Let's get to the letter grades. WWE Guy with a B. Keith Johnson with a B-. Master Shake 210 with a B+. Caitlin gave it a C. Walter Cruz with a C+. Josh Mansfield with a B+. Joseph with a D-. Marvin with a C+. And Curtis Butler with a C. CC Drink with a B-. Game is on 100 with a C+. Dr. NXT Scorpio with a C. And Christopher Mace with a B-. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, at least Mo Camera is more over than EC3. Story checks out. And Ken Terminated by Google, my man Ken, with a $5 super chat says, Rift, would it be strange as S if Bayley is competing in the women's/Moolah Battle Royal? Please no Santina winning this year's Battle Royal. That would not surprise me either if Bayley was just thrown into the women's Battle Royal. I forgot they're doing that this year, although maybe somebody in WWE will come to their senses and they'll think better of it. Do we really need to get every single person that is under contract to WWE on WrestleMania? Just saying. Is it really necessary? Let's see here. Jeff Meacham. The Jeff Meacham Network with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Jeff. He says, I'd say keep it Bayley versus one opponent, more meaning. I agree on that, Jeff. I think we should have Bayley in a one-on-one match, but realistically, the title's not important. WWE doesn't care about the SmackDown Women's title. It's a prop. It's the third title, quite frankly. You got the Raw Women's title. The NXT title has more importance than the SmackDown title at this point. So I'm guessing it's not going to get much love at WrestleMania. Chris Benoit, KrisBenwa, with a $5 super chat, says, what are the chances Goldberg defeats Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? Highly unlikely in all likelihood. Don't see Goldberg sticking around, but stranger things have happened. However, I would be very surprised. Let's just say we still got our WrestleMania predictions video to do, but spoiler alert, I'm not going to bet against the big dog at WrestleMania. Not this year. And the This Guy Experience with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says, where do Miz and Morrison go from here? B- only because of the tag chamber match. Do you think the tag titles will ever main event a major pay-per-view? Probably not, unless you got one of those matches where the main eventers are in the tag title feud and, you got the main event of SummerSlam holding the tag team titles, that kind of scenario. But beyond that, probably not. Miz and Morrison, I'd like to see them face the Usos at WrestleMania. I think that would be a really solid match. I'm really hoping they don't do a multi-person match, but I could see it being Miz and Morrison versus New Day versus Usos, triple threat. But I agree with Jeff. For the most part, I want to see one-on-one or two-on-two and not the multi-person matches, unless there's a good storyline that calls for it. And you could do Money in the Bank and whatnot. By the way, quick plug for Jeff, at _Jeff Meacham on Twitter. Check out his podcast, Network. We just had Rob Van Dam week. He did a new interview with Rob Van Dam, as well as he posted a RVD versus Jerry Lynn rewind video, or podcast, I should say. I'm so used to saying video. And posted the old XMV interview with Rob Van Dam from back in the day. And this is total old school from like 15 years ago. So check it out. _Jeff Meacham on Twitter. Got a $2 super chat here from Mike D. He says, Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania for the IC title. Ooh, I like it. Now, I could also see WWE doing a multi-man ladder match. They've done it before. Maybe that's why Sami won the title, so he could defend it against Bryan and a couple of other people, maybe Nakamura, Azzaro, maybe they all have a falling out. And you do like a 4 or 5-way ladder match for the IC title. That would not shock me at all. But Bryan versus Zayn, I kind of like it. I just wish Sami had a little bit more credibility at this point. He's kind of been watered down in his manager role. Mo Cameron with a $2.79 super chat says, I'm not excited for this year's WrestleMania. The Fiend deserve. I know, I agree with you, Mo Cameron, on that. Troll or no troll, I'm with you. The Fiend deserves better for WrestleMania. Although John Cena's a big match and all, I just wish it was for the Universal title. Would have been more intriguing in my opinion. Ken terminated by Google with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Ken. He says, Rift, does that mean the Jeff Meacham Network has his own Chelsea Green? If so, I would visit every day. No wonder I never liked Zack Ryder, LOL. You have to contact Jeff about that. Maybe we can have Caitlin be the honorary Chelsea Green for the Jeff Meacham Network. I'm sure she would endorse the JM Network. She was listening to it the other day, so I know she follows Jeff's stuff. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, Nakamura and Azzaro will turn on Sammy for the IC title. Thank you for that, and I could see that as a possibility since Sammy got himself into the match and won the title when Nakamura was perhaps thinking he was going to get his title back, and all of a sudden his manager comes in and takes the title. So that very well could happen. Apparently I missed a super chat from Colin Andrew. I'm trying to see where it was. Oh, okay, here it is. Sorry about that, Colin. He says, D- with 4 weeks until WrestleMania. Ouch. He says, I'm a little worried. Hashtag no DQ. That's pretty brutal, a D-. I thought the show was all right. I mean, it was a lot of filler, but the wrestling was good. And I did enjoy it for the most part. But yeah, I could see why people would not like it just because felt like if you skipped it, you really didn't miss much. Definitely was not must see. I'll say that. Anyways, guys, on that note, I'll go ahead and wrap up this video. I will be back tomorrow night, of course, to discuss Raw. And we got the No DQ review coming up, AEW Dynamite. A lot to discuss. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com. Got results there if you want any further details and the GIFs and all that good stuff. Head over to NoDQ.com and check that out. Have a great night, everyone, and I will see you all next time. Hold on. Psycho Jet Black, No DQ Overtime, says, when will Caitlin Rift join the WWE Hall of Fame? Good question, but I think the answer is probably never unless No DQ gets in bed with WWE, and I don't see that happening. I don't see me ever working for WWE. I don't want to, first of all. And even if they offered it, I would not want that misery, and I would not want those headaches and my life expectancy dropping from the stress level. So unfortunately, highly unlikely in all likelihood. But No DQ Hall of Fame, Caitlin's already at the top. Thank you guys again for watching. I appreciate it. And see you all next time.